look pretty good for a dead bitch. She's alive!
Hello everyone! It has been a little while. Let's just say my life has been a series of unfortunate events for the past little while. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everything will work out in the end. But I'm not here to talk about me. Let's dig into Michael Todd, aka Michael Todd Cosmetics, Michael Todd True Organics, Michael Todd USA, and Michael Todd Beauty. Yes, this once viral beauty brand has gone through a few versions over the last decade plus. Just a quick note before we really get started, a disclaimer of sorts. These videos are more about what's being said than necessarily what's on screen all the time. I will show any and all relevant receipts and throw in some visuals to better explain what I'm talking about, but this may be different than other beauty videos you're accustomed to watching. Think of it more like a podcast, but with occasional images. I like to make sure what I'm talking about can easily be seen and verified, such as trademarks, dates, quotations, legal documentation, etc. If you have any questions, please leave them for me in the comment section and I will address everything to the best of my ability. But I'm also not claiming to be an expert. I'm just a passionate researcher sharing what I've uncovered along the way. And all requests for topics are welcomed. So, Michael Todd. Who is or was Michael Todd? Was he a real person? If you go to the brand's website now, you'll see a blurb talking about who's involved with the company, and their version of the brand history goes like this. Michael Todd Beauty is an award-winning beauty brand co-founded by passionate entrepreneurs Louis Hendler, chairman, who formerly co-founded Scunchi, the world's best-known hair accessory brand, Michael Friend, president and CEO, and Lilia Friend, SVP of operations. There is a lot to unpack here in regards to these three. But first, Michael Todd was allegedly a stage name for a person not mentioned now. Adam Kaye, born in Tallahassee, Florida, adopted the name Michael Todd to pursue a dream career of actor/model/makeup artist. He studied entrepreneurship at Florida State University and international business at the American University of Paris. I'm going to read a little bit from what the original websites about us stated because I think it's worth discussing. So, while working as a model and actor, Michael became interested in the idea of makeup and skincare products individually tailored to the needs and wants of each user. Michael wanted to develop a new generation of cosmetics capable of displaying each user's face to its full potential. A chance encounter with Louis Hendler, the co-founder of Scunchi International, one of the world's best-known hair accessory brands, led to a collaboration and a shared passion for this new approach to cosmetics and skincare with a simple goal in mind: personalized products that really work to make the user look their absolute best. And so, Michael Todd Cosmetics was born. It goes on to discuss color cosmetics and how they were adopting the standard perform, reform, and transform, and skincare, and a quote that says, "It's not enough just to include an ingredient. It must be as natural and organic as possible and insufficient concentration to ensure effectiveness. Nothing but the best will do." Now, under both color cosmetics and skincare, it mentions extensive research had gone into the cosmetic side and the skincare collection. But just to note, there's no record whatsoever of what research was done exactly or who they worked with to develop any of these initial products. There's also mention of the ingredients used as well as specific mentions of ingredients not used, which is pretty common for these sort of organic, natural kind of brands. They want to make sure you know that they don't use parabens or sulfates, synthetic dyes, GMOs, etc. So the Michael Todd website at this time utilized a unique, entertaining, and interactive internet superstore as the platform for its cosmetics and skincare products. It's like shopping an upscale department store without having to leave home. Interactive photo galleries give the ability to see just how a particular look is achieved, and with the live chat feature, the company's cosmetic experts are available to answer questions and give advice online whenever needed. So I know that probably sounds very so what right now, but just remember that this was 2009 and a lot of brands really weren't utilizing online spaces like we see them now. So it's not terribly unique, but it was something that was different from what other brands were doing. So for the briefest period of time, the Michael Todd was on Twitter, and the account still exists today, at least when I was doing my research and I found the screenshots, it still existed, and had a YouTube channel. So unfortunately, not much remains of the YouTube channel. According to what I could find, the account was created in November 2009. Michael had 33,000 channel views and 1,699 subscribers. I'm not sure exactly how accurate this is, but that's what I was able to pull up from the Wayback Machine. But anyway, now there's no mention of Adam's involvement with the beauty brand anywhere. There's a convenient little chunk of time missing from his LinkedIn page, always a sign that something went down. Perhaps he was simply an investor. He is currently involved with real estate development and is a passionate supporter of the arts. And perhaps Adam, or Michael, decided to move on from the makeup industry entirely. Louis Hendler did co-found, and according to documents filed in Florida, so did Lilia Friend. The LLC was filed in December of 2008. Conveniently, there is no record of Adam on those documents, nor in any of the trademark documents I could find. Let's go back to those three for a moment. Louis Hendler, Lilia Friend, and Michael Friend. Louis Hendler credits himself as the co-founder of Scunchie. I don't doubt Louis was involved with the company and even the creation, but certainly not the best-selling product. Lethem Stern is listed on most documentation for the creation of Scunchie International Inc., and the Scunchie itself, or Scrunchie as we may call it today, was patented by Rami Revson, former daughter-in-law of Charles Revson, aka the man behind Revlon. The same day Rami filed for the patent is the same day Scunchie International was formed in New York, December 11th, 1986. There were many, many legal battles involving Rami and even those with Scunchie International, but that's a story for another day. Eventually, the company was sold to Con Air in 2005, and that is where Louis is credited as receiving most of his fortune. Circa 2004, Louis had a short-lived company, Enrage Sports Management, representing boxers. His first client was Floyd Mayweather Jr. As for Michael and Lilia Friend, it's going to get interesting. For this section, I'm referencing an article from the Sun Centennial, circa 2003, and some legal documents I sourced from Pacer. So Michael was a used car dealer from Pennsylvania. He filed for bankruptcy multiple times and had been convicted in 6 criminal felony cases involving fraud or economic crime dating back to the early 1980s. As quoted in the article, Michael admitted to mistakes in his past, saying, "I was a bad guy. I was a horrible, horrible person." But he also noted that he has since changed his life. I found this fascinating, though. Court records detail his criminal activities from the past, such as passing phony checks in Las Vegas casinos, selling used cars made from stolen parts, and falsifying credit reports. So indulge me a little here because I want to discuss this, and I accidentally spent a small fortune to access the court records. But how does someone go from a life of crime to real estate to the cosmetic industry? So, in November 1985, Michael pleaded guilty to 1 count of transporting counterfeit securities. He was sentenced the next month to 2 years in federal prison. In the meantime, a grand jury in Cleveland had indicted him for forgery, grand theft, and receiving stolen property. He was charged with defrauding an auto auction company by giving it forged checks. Michael pleaded guilty to forgery and grand theft and was sentenced to 18 months in prison, concurrent with his federal sentence. And it continues. A statewide grand jury in Pennsylvania accused him of running a criminal enterprise at his car dealership near Philadelphia. He was charged with 218 counts. According to the grand jury, Michael Friend's company bought cars in Pennsylvania and Ohio, stripped them, and then reconstructed them with stolen parts or parts with their vehicle identification numbers removed so they couldn't be identified. The company then applied to the state for a reconstructed title using fake names, addresses, and photos, forged a state mechanic's signature, and sold the cars. A Philadelphia detective testified that Michael also operated a scam against private investors. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of corrupt organizations, a first-degree felony, and nearly 24 third-degree felony counts. A judge in Pennsylvania sentenced him to 2 to 10 years in prison. Another grand jury also indicted Michael in July 1986 for defrauding an auto auction company out of 2 cars. He pleaded guilty to grand larceny and was sentenced to an additional 6 years. In 1993, he declared bankruptcy in Philadelphia. In 1995, the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office filed a civil lawsuit against Michael and his used car dealerships, claiming they had defrauded dozens of customers. The lawsuit alleged that his companies had used deceptive advertising, sold unroadworthy cars, failed to return deposits, overcharged for tags and titles, and failed to submit sales tax collections. In July 1996, Michael and his wife Lilia filed for bankruptcy in Philadelphia. Yes, the same Lilia that's also involved with Michael Todd. A U.S. bankruptcy judge tossed out the bankruptcy because his debt was so high he was ineligible. And then a week or so later, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Philadelphia criminally charged Michael with 1 count of wire fraud. What happened here is that he had falsified customers' credit information when he worked at a used car dealership to improve their credit history, then sent the fake reports to an auto financing company. Michael had taken the good credit report of a friend, Lilia Slutzker, who later became his wife, and cut and pasted it onto customers' bad credit reports. But in an odd turn of events, after pleading guilty in 1997, an assistant U.S. attorney testified that Michael had given extraordinary and substantial cooperation to the Drug Enforcement Administration by helping with an undercover operation. From a life of crime to working undercover for the government. Plot twist. The judge at the trial said at the time, "What concerns me most about this case is that in 11 and a half years on the bench, I have not had someone with this defendant's criminal history." But the judge also noted that few defendants who had appeared in his courtroom had so much support from the government. He sentenced Michael to 5 years probation, ordered him to spend 9 months in a halfway house, pay $30,000 in restitution, and barred him from working in the car sales business. His probation was ended after only 2.5 years. That same year, which was 2002, Michael drew national attention when he confirmed to reporters that former New York Mayor Giuliani had signed a deal to buy a $3.5 million house from his new company. He even told a reporter when the closing date would be. It was only after lawyers for Giuliani threatened to take action against him if he didn't stop making the false claim that Michael admitted it wasn't true. By 2005, the company, Remy Developers, was gone, and there were accusations that his business practices were unethical. There was even a lawsuit that went from 2006 to 2018, where the main complaint was copyright infringement. Lilia Friend filed for bankruptcy in 2009, 1 year after Michael Todd Cosmetics was founded, as did Michael Friend, again, and it appears, according to documents I found, that they separated. Also interesting to note, at least I found it interesting, in Lilia's bankruptcy documents, I found that, she was listed as co-owner of Michael Todd Cosmetics. They had the value of the company as $1,500 in 2009. So I thought that was interesting because that's clearly not a lot of money. So while the Friends both kept their names, I was surprised, honestly, that there hadn't been a name change. Michael Todd went through several name changes. Michael Todd Cosmetics was the name originally. Designer Michael Todd LLC was the name of the company first used to sell products, doing business as Michael Todd Cosmetics. There was this mythology of a designer named Michael Todd who didn't really exist and certainly wasn't a designer. But the Michael Todd was a burgeoning influencer, so was the original partnership one of the first influencer brands? Designer Michael Todd LLC merged with a new company, Michael Todd True Organics LP, which is limited partnership, in 2014. Michael Todd True Organics LP became Michael Todd Beauty LP in 2016. But between 2015 and half of 2016, Michael Todd USA was the brand name used, with michaeltoddusa.com the website and a tagline of "Where Science Meets Nature." This is particularly confusing as the Michael Todd True Organics name was frequently used anyway, often abbreviated to MTTO, as was the name of the other company created in 2014, MTTO LLC. Details of that company is buried in Delaware, of course, alas. It's so much easier when it's Florida or California where the documentation is easily accessible. Michael Todd's rise to fame came about much like other brands from the late 2000s, early 2010s. Sponsorships, sponsored giveaways, incentives. The absolute peak appears to be 2013. I did a Google trend comparison just for an easy visual. I looked at the search terms Michael Todd True Organics, Michael Todd Cosmetics, and Michael Todd Skincare. I believe I heard about Michael Todd this year from Shan XO, who had some content at the time that seemed sponsored but was not disclosed as such. Celebrity endorsements were also frequent around this time in magazines, interviews, little plugs where a C-list star mentions their absolute can't live without cleanser. There was mentions on TV shows, product placement, and on social media, of course. Found via archived images of the Michael Todd website, there are screenshots from Twitter, often using the hashtag MTTO, and only one was noted as sponsored, Miss Soleil Moon Fry. Leave it to Punky Brewster. And Michael Todd had 2 images of her tweet, one with the clear sponsorship mentioned and one with it hidden. Of course, Michael Todd had affiliate programs with links and discounts, not always disclosed. This was a golden time for brands before rules were clearly defined and so many took advantage of legal loopholes. Also helpful is that Louis Hendler was a lawyer. It's unclear if he still actively practices. But a few did disclose the PR received in affiliate links, which just makes those who didn't disclose seem that much more obvious. But taking advantage of influencers has been seen before from other brands that launched at a similar time, like Sigma, as I've discussed before. Absolutely not unusual and not really controversial. And it was a time before the oversaturation of the beauty sphere, both in terms of the brands and the influencers. It was a simpler time and it was much easier to cultivate a following than when there was less competition. In 2017, there was a sponsored Q&A section in WWD with Michael Friend and Julie Garza, the Vice President of Marketing and Brand Development. They discussed successful strategies and how to reach the ever-elusive millennial consumer. Julie said, "Early on, we understood that being authentic and real with this demographic was most important. We have made them our friend and have harnessed their reach of friends. We communicate frequently with them and make sure they know we are listening to what they like and don't like about our brand and using that information to adjust as we grow. We now have positive relationships with this demographic through our social marketing programs." I don't know about you, but talking about making their consumers friends, quote unquote, in a sponsored interview doesn't scream authenticity to me. In 2015, Pacific Bioscience Laboratories Inc. filed a complaint against MTTO. They requested that the International Trade Commission investigate unlawful importing into the US and patent infringement. So Pacific Bioscience Laboratories Inc. was the company behind Clarisonic. There was a confidential settlement in 2016. And in 2020, when L'Oreal, who owned the Clarisonic brand, announced they were ceasing production, guess who swooped in with Clarisonic comparables? Michael Todd. Worth Beauty LLC, makers of Blend Smart, an automated makeup brush, sued MT Beauty in 2017, alleging Michael Todd Beauty infringed upon its copyrights and trademarks by selling and advertising Sonic Blend. This was when those brushes and things like Clarisonics were top news. They settled later that year, and terms of the settlement were not disclosed, but Worth Beauty was seeking somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 in damages. But Michael Todd would still be allowed to continue to sell its Sonic Blend Sonic makeup brushes under the terms of the settlement. Does anyone still use automated makeup brushes? I used an attachment for my Clarisonic after the advice of an influencer, and I regretted spending that money, to be honest. In 2014, there was also Michael Todd versus Paula's Choice. The Michael Todd company was targeting Paula's Choice for unfair competition in the nature of false advertising. Michael Todd stated they were being targeted by paid ads that had misinformation about their products, among other claims. This case was dismissed, presumably settled out of court. The Food and Drug Administration, more commonly known as FDA, also issued several warning letters to various cosmetic manufacturers, including Michael Todd True Organics LLC in 2016, alleging several violations under the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. The FDA's letter took issue with the company's product advertising and noted that these products may not be, quote, safe and effective for their referenced uses. Michael Todd True Organics products at issue included the Intensive Cream Eye Treatment and New Cream Anti-Aging Facelift Serum. The big claim here is that the labeling may constitute false and deceptive advertising. The 3 listed co-founders of Michael Todd Beauty also have another company together, Spa Sciences. This brand focuses on beauty devices for a fraction of the cost of Michael Todd devices. So, for reference, Michael Todd devices range somewhere between $60 and $180 US. Spa Sciences are between about $30 and $40. Well, what about Michael Todd Beauty now? They are often mentioned as a brand that will fold in the coming months or years. I mean, perhaps. It's really impossible to predict brands that will close without knowing all of the details and behind-the-scenes information, as fun as it is to speculate. Michael Todd will probably continue to do okay with their Clarisonic dupes, and as we've seen a shift to skin focus, they could really benefit from that angle. If I was going to make a prediction, I would say that they will try to sell the brand before closing if it gets to that point, and they probably already have tried to make deals behind the scenes, particularly at the peak of their popularity, but again, nothing has been confirmed, only speculated. I don't think Michael Todd will ever be able to see the same attention as it had nearly 10 years ago, though. The products aren't raved about, there isn't anything terribly unique, and even the tools, which might possibly be seen as unique, can easily be duped, even without patent infringement. To stand out these days, a brand needs to have a stellar reputation, solid products, and a reason to purchase. With tools, if they're good quality, repeat purchases aren't necessary. So without referring new customers constantly, you need a reason for them to keep coming back. And I feel like that's what's really missing from the Michael Todd catalog. Besides, you don't even need tools to have a great skincare routine. And so they've just been left behind. As always, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching. I hope we'll get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.